Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. Now, when I introduce people to these shows before I give a bit of a spiel, but I don't even know that I need to give a spiel here. And apart from say, Wippa, welcome to the show.
Rob, thank you for having me on. You do need to do a spiel. Thank you very much, mate. I was expecting a brass band. I wanted, I don't know, the Wikipedia read, which is quite
Yeah,
small
yeah.
anyway.
Well, I
Um,
will do the intro. So, Wippa is probably one of the most recognizable voices in Australia through radio. We're going to get into this in a second, but just the longevity that Wippa has been on his show on Nova with Fitzy, Wippa, and Kate has been astounding. And how Wippa and I came to know each other and come to this moment here. I was trying to think, Wippa. I think it was July 2024 when I got a phone call from Nikki. Just that she'd seen the story on 60 Minutes about Live and social media and stuff. And she said about you and Robert started 36 months. And this was about coming to New South Wales. And yeah, I was on
yeah, yeah.
where we first met was like on your show. You did a bit of an interview with me, and then I went straight to Parliament and we did all that media there. And that's kind of what started what's been like such an amazing journey, which I do want to get into. But that's how we've come to know each other. And I mean, Whippy, you're so special to me in what you've been able to help me do with Liv's legacy, which I never even thought it would be a legacy until, we go so far down the track. So yeah, I'm really respectful and it's an honor to have you on the show. It really is.
Oh, that's very kind. That's very kind. That's a far better introduction. Thank you, Rob. And I know we're going to get to 36 months, but I just want to say very quickly up front, you're the reason and Liv is the reason for 36 months. So as much as we were in a position to make a fair bit of noise, we were doing it on behalf of yourself and also Liv and other families out there. That's what it was truly all about. So this is an absolute legacy for Liv.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. Before we get into that, let's go back a little bit because like you do have a remarkable longevity in radio. I don't know whether there's many people that have been doing what you've been doing in this space for so long. I'm just really curious as to like how did it all start for you? Did you see, do you know what? I'm a funny dude. I want to get into radio. Like, how did it all start for you?
Terrible academic, Rob. I was a shocker. Like, if you could imagine, things just didn't work for me from an academic sense at school, but I loved sport and I loved getting involved in everything else in the school community. And I was always trying to work out, where does this end? I mean, most of the kids that I went to school with went into, commercial businesses or whatever it might look like, or law or medicine. There was some high flyers in the year. And I remember it was we had the VCE, I think they called it back in 1997, in Melbourne there. And it was out of 100, but there was a kid by the name of Heath James. And I came home and I said to Dad, "You're not going to believe it. Heath James, he got 21. Like 21 out of 100, Dad. That's a bit embarrassing." Dad said, "Grab a seat, mate. Let's have a chat." He said, "I've made a phone call for you because you could call up to get the number." He said, "I did this because I didn't want you to be by yourself when
Oh
you
no.
got your number."
Oh, you're
But
22.
I would have taken that, Rob. It was 16.6,
Oh
rounded
wow.
up to 17.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where I found myself. So I knew that something on a heavy academic level was not for me, but something engaging with people was a true interest for me. So, if we wind the clock back to 97, that was probably a moment in time that you can see, as they say, joining the dots looking back, where I wanted to work with people. I was interested in people. I love stories. I love what makes people tick. That drives me. So that was kind of how I found myself at the end of school.
And then what? How did you get to radio?
Well, Dad was very. I mean, Dad was a big player for look, get something under your belt to start with.
Yeah.
So I went to TAFE and I did a building management course, which I love as well. But from there, I went into a couple of basic building jobs. Outside of labouring, I went into some project management work. But I would sit at my desk in South Melbourne there, and I'd be writing down ideas for radio shows and different segments and what we could do. And I think that's when the writing was on the wall. So I thought, I just have to get involved. I just have to get involved. So um, Fox FM, which is now to what is it called now? Is it today? Hit. It's the Hit network. What am I talking
Oh,
about?
right. Okay.
Fox FM, which was at 180 St Kilda Road there in Melbourne. I live not far from there. So I thought, well, they'd be a great place to start. But in doing so, I also sent my demo that I made out to God knows how many radio stations. If I could find it on the radio station guide, I sent them a demo.
Yeah.
And then I got in my car and I drove up sort of the east coast of Australia, ringing all the program directors before I got there, saying, "Hey, do you think I could pinch 5 minutes of your time just to
Yeah.
introduce myself?" And I'd sent one the other way, which was to a place called Port Augusta. And Port Augusta is about 3 hours northwest of Adelaide. So if
Yeah.
you get in the car, you drive up you drive up the coast of Spencer's Gulf, and then you reach Port Augusta up the top. Not a lot going on in Port Augusta, Rob.
No, I can't imagine.
You can't even realize there's a town there till you're about 15 k's away, and then you see a big sort of building works or bluestone or some sort of one steel smoke coming out, heading into the heavens. Anyway, the guy there, his name was Gary Kernahan, Stephen Kernahan's brother. And I loved
Okay.
AFL. So I thought, this is amazing. This is the closest thing to an AFL star. I want a bit of radio. But that was my first launch into broadcasting.
Yeah, wow. And so all of these years later, but I think is it about 15 years you've been doing this?
Yeah, a little bit longer, I'd say, probably closer to 20, because friends of mine growing up were Hamish and Andy. So there was a bit of a leg up. And those guys had started at Fox FM also, and they had a show that was 10 p.m. till midnight on a Monday night. So it was called the Almost Tuesday Show. So then they started there and they said, "Hey, mate, we can probably get you a paneling job if you want to come back and press a few buttons, then at least you're in the building." So
Yeah.
that's what then brought me back to Melbourne.
Yeah, right. And so then how'd you get to Sydney?
From Melbourne, I went to Brisbane for a little bit. Then I went to Perth for 3 years. Then I came back to Melbourne for 2 more years. And then it's been 15 years in Sydney now. So our show, Fitzy Wippa Kate, or Fitzy and I in particular, have been 15 years.
Yeah, wow. And so if we look behind the scenes a little bit, and like you're now just February this year, haven't you? You've changed to the drive show,
Yep.
f- 4 till 6. So obviously people see, okay, well, you're on for 2 hours, there's a bunch of ads in between and stuff, but what's it like from your perspectives? Obviously, you've got support people around you and
Mm.
what is it from your perspective on a daily basis that you have to get your head in the right space and the material
You're not
and
calling us lazy, are you, Rob? I
no,
mean, for
you
two
need to prepare.
hours.
I imagine it's very intense, right? Because every
Oh,
word, it's like you slip up and it's bang, oh, hang on.
there are moments like that. I mean, you're right. You mentioned the teamwork, and you've met Tommy, our executive producer, and Tommy's kind of the glue when it comes to it. But it's very much that skill of juggling and keeping it in the air. So the actual on-air time is playtime. I would look at
Yeah,
that for any sports person. That's you're on the field and all the training and everything and all the preparation. That's all behind you. And then the idea is to go in and have fun. But I think the art to the craft as well is trying to make it sound like it's not prepared.
yeah,
So, this is meant to be a conversation where I'm sitting down with Fitzy and Kate, and we're pulled up a stool and we're sitting around as friends having a chat saying, "You're not going to believe what happened to me today."
yeah.
So it's all those things. And the built-in knowledge that you then have in your set of skills as a broadcaster is different places to take it and different ways of getting into things to engage your audience. So, for example, if I start one break and I often start a break by saying, "Hey, tell me if I'm wrong here." Or would you agree with me if I said,
Yes,
or something just very quickly to emotionally engage you?
yeah,
It's like an article, it's like any story being told. Very quickly, you want to try and grab somebody's attention to then take them through that story,
yeah.
knowing that you've got Fitzy and Kate to bounce off and you've got a roundabout way of knowing where you're going to try and go. So that's kind of the makeup of most of it.
How do you think if you go back right to the very beginning, like even your
Mm.
first show, like I'm about to hit 5,000 podcasts.
Wow.
And I don't think there's anyone else in the world that's done as many podcasts as me. I can't find them if they have. And I go back and listen to the very first one that I did, however many years ago. And my voice kind of sounds like this. And welcome.
Isn't it funny?
And so I'm just wondering, how has your confidence and your skill grown over the time now so that you can just, like we could be having it
God,
right
it
here.
takes a long time, doesn't it, Rob?
Mm.
We've gone down a similar path in that sense. We're presenting something, and it takes so long for you to be yourself. It takes so long. I think this is how it
And to
starts.
make that okay also.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that because
Yeah,
that's what people want. They want the real. The
right.
real is the buy-in. So when you look at, I think, how many people start out, whatever it is. So if it's radio, if it's tennis, if I'm a kid, I want to play like Roger Federer. So
Mm.
you try and emulate what Roger Federer does. I think broadcasters do the same. You try and be like somebody else, and all you have to do is to do that for as long as you want and take that set of skills that you can grab from that person, but then continue to make it into yourself. And I think I took longer than anybody. I would suggest it took me at least 5 years. But I think what happens, let's say it was a tennis player, you're looking at the highlights of Roger Federer's shots and you're wanting to play those amazing shots. In radio, you'd listen to the best of CD, which just involved, half an hour of the funniest moments over a 12-month period. And you think
Yes.
you can deliver all of those on one
Yeah,
day.
in one show.
Forget about it. But all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you have small wins once again by being yourself. And Ray Hadley tells a great story about this when he first got into radio. And there was an older guy who came up to him and said, "Hey, what's your name?" And he said, "Oh, I'm Ray Hadley." And the guy said, "Well, how well do you know him?" He said, "Well, I know him very well. That's me." And he goes, "Great. Don't try to be anybody else."
Yeah.
And that's the perfect bit of advice.
It is.
Unfortunately, you beat yourself up a little bit as you try and find your groove. But like you say, 5,000 podcasts later, Rob is Rob, and we love Rob.
Yeah, that's right. And do you know, one of the reasons that I started doing it was I wanted to learn I never had much self-confidence as a kid. And unfortunately, I saw what Liv went through as like me replaying her. And I'm like, oh, please,
Sure.
no, that is so unfair. And I wanted to learn how to speak better. And so I thought, well, why don't nobody likes, okay, put the video up and hit record and watch it back. So, oh no, I don't want to do that. But I wanted to get better. And I also wasn't a very good conversationalist. And I think I would always say, Wippa, let me just see what the next, kind of that sort of thing. I thought,
Of course.
I don't want to do that. So I actually don't have any questions prepared for my guests now, and it forces me to listen and to look
Yeah.
beyond the screen and just really engage. And every person I interview says to me, "Wow, that was a really great interview. You asked great questions," because it's coming from a different place. Now, if I had done that on the first episode, it would have been a disaster. I had
Yep.
everything scripted and written down and
But
everything.
you've earned the right to do what you're doing
Yeah,
now,
that's right. That's right. That's right.
and that's the skill in itself to have that confidence.
It is. Now, I know we could talk for hours. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock because
Don't worry about the clock, Rob. Let's
you got to
roll
get to
on.
your show. Uh,
No,
I want to now talk about, I suppose, the moment. I like moments that come down to it's like, okay, something happens and bang, you decide from that point on, never again. What was that moment for you for 36 months and deciding to start that? And oh, sorry, before you answer that, obviously 36 months for people that are listening is the movement that started to change the social media laws for kids aged between 13 to 16, giving them 36 more months to just be them, find their identity. And like, spoiler alert, it's now legislation here in Australia, the first in the world to do it. And Rob Galuso and Wippa founded 36 Months. And it's really because of you guys. And obviously, Liv's story was really impactful for the PM and everything. But it's because of you guys that it's in place. But yeah, now let's come back to your moment.
no, it's interesting, Rob, and you would know this as a parent. Um, I was quite literally, I'd woken up, I did breakfast radio as we were just talking for 15 years, and it's 4 a.m. and I'm sitting on the side of the bed. And I saw a post. Rob and I Rob and I had been talking about this for, I don't know, a year, 18 months, talking about the impact of social media. Sorry, Rob Galuzzo and I
Yeah.
have been talking about this. We discuss all sorts of ideas, creative ideas, business ideas, philanthropy. We're really interested in people and what makes people move. And we've been talking about this. And then I was sitting on the side of my bed. It's 4 a.m., thinking I've got to get to work and do a radio show. And I saw a post, I think from the ABC, about the state of Florida looking to change the age to 18. And I just had this moment where I was moved. I was physically moved, almost like my gut sank in the possibility as a hypothetical. Imagine if we could do that there. And
Mm.
as a dad of three kids, very quickly I pictured them sitting out there because they've got iPads and we have screen time and all of that, like anyone else. Um, and I pictured them in this world that was removed from the world they should be in and the world that is really healthy to bring kids up in.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I don't act on something that's made me move on the topic that I care more about than anything else in the world, my kids, then what am I ever going to do? Who
Mm.
am I? And what will I ever do if I can't do this?
Yeah.
So that's what pulled the trigger. And that day after work, I went into Rob and I said, hey, enough talk. I'm in if you're in, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And look, I mean, I remember I think it was November 20, it's hard to remember the years now.
Mm,
November 2025 when we went to Parliament House and we were all gung ho, ready, right? We're going to hit the PM with this. I had all these things that I was going to say to the PM, and we rock up, and we go into his office, and I can remember you and I, we came out of the office, and we were waiting to go and see Peter Dutton,
yeah,
and you said to me, "Did that just happen?" And I said, "Yeah, I know exactly what you mean." It's like, wow, we thought we were in for a fight, and the PM's just said, "Yep, this is what we're going to do."
he called it. He called it.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
an amazing moment because, I mean, when we talk about it, it wasn't it's not a fireworks moment. It was a huge relief, wasn't it?
yeah,
It was a huge relief. But you're right. We spent 3.5 hours on the way to Canberra thinking about what line we could use so that the Prime Minister knew that we needed this to happen and that if he didn't call it, then we were going to support Mr. Dutton as much as
that's
we
right.
possibly could.
Yeah,
And then it wasn't required. So
yeah,
you're right. That was quite a moment, even to the point we were driving back in the car and it was like, oh, what happens now? Like, has that happened? It
I
was
know. And
sort of
then
this
like
disbelief.
we go to the Kirribilli on the 10th of December. So for people on the other side of the world, it's the equivalent of the White House in the US where the PM lives.
Yeah,
And, they'd never seen more press in my life in that place. And just that moment, it felt so natural, but at the same time so surreal that here we are.
yeah,
And like you were the MC for that event. And there was never one doubt in my mind that we wouldn't get it done. I just
yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. I didn't think it would happen as quickly, but like it's such an honor to be really part of it.
You know, it's interesting. I think if it hadn't happened so quickly, it wouldn't have happened. And the 10th of December came and the law was changed. And I remember seeing Peter Dutton at a drinks um, closer to Christmas, probably, I don't know, 15th, 19th. And he said to me, look, if big tech had muddied the waters and pushed it past Christmas, I don't think we would have got there.
Yeah, wow.
So there was sort of nerves all the way up into the end. And at the same time, we aren't, we were um, never declared ourselves as experts in the field,
Yeah,
and we were never politically savage.
yeah,
Our job was to take what we believe was the right thing, and
that's
with as you know, the 150,000 signatures on that topic, our job was to let the Prime Minister know how loud the voice was and how loud the parents were collectively. And I remember, we had the conversation also about petition. Do we do a petition? Is it worth doing a petition? I underestimated the power of petition because it simply became leverage. So we were able to say, I got 150,000 signatures. That's more people and families than what's just here in this giant pile of signatures. What do you want me to tell the people, Prime Minister? I have
Yeah.
to tell them something.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
was the leverage we turned up to Canberra with.
Just a couple more questions. I think the when that happened, I don't know how you felt. It was kind of like, okay, I feel like Liv is guiding me. And then from that moment, and you like Rob and Greg have connected me as well. But international media then started to reach out like immediately, like the next day, and
Yeah.
all the stories I've done around the world now, it just seems like it's the right thing to do, and everybody's catching on. And isn't it funny how people just want someone to lead? And it's like, okay,
Don't
Australia,
they?
you did it, and now we're this. So my question in all of that is, what do you see as your next part of the journey and 36 months with this story and beyond?
Well, we've had a couple of great conversations, most recently with British Parliament. We spoke to about 20 politicians not long ago, members for Parliament, who are working very hard. And I think that'll be a bit of an up and down till we eventually get there. But the big one more recently is we've been working with a guy, Josh Lowenthal, and he is a assembly member in the state of California.
Yeah,
So he's preparing a bill that will be handed to the Senate and supported by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Now, that is the belly of the beast.
yeah,
That's where big tech is. And that, if it was to pass in California, would rock them all. That would be huge.
yeah,
But Josh, who I mentioned was leading the charge, has an extraordinary backing. He has a great understanding as well. And they, like Australia, have the damage to their kids and their teens that we see also. So, and Gavin Newsom understands that.
yeah,
So, our conversations most recently have been about marginalised communities with them, similar to the conversations we had, where it was very important to point out if you take away social media for that small age group or prior to the age of 16, then what does that do to the marginalised communities that find family and community in the social media platforms? And we just wanted to reinforce that we're not banning the internet. We're not banning all chat groups. We're not banning WhatsApp, which is a great community spot if you want to build a group with your friends. So it was more just the dangers around those 8 to 10 social media platforms with the addictive features. That was the dangerous place to play, as you know more than anyone, Rob. So that's what we're continuing to reinforce with Josh's team over in the US. But watch this space in terms of California, because I think the bill, and it'll make massive headlines probably next month when it's submitted to Parliament over there.
yeah. That's really exciting. I have had some conversations with Rob about that, and I said, whatever you need from me, I'm there for that because I,
Yeah,
I agree. You can see that that is the pathway to the White House to change more laws. And I know it's different to here in Australia and it's more difficult, but you change, well, California's got the whole population of Australia and
yeah.
and the big tech. So that is really, really powerful. Wipra, I know we could keep talking for hours. I do want to be respectful and let you get to your show. This has like my journey here with you personally and with Rob and the whole team has it's really been life changing for me. I have
Me too.
Liv's urn right here with me. That always comes with me around
I
the
love
house.
that.
And yeah, I think it's just another example how, look, I'm sure you don't see yourself as exceptional. I just see myself as just an ordinary Aussie person that's damn focused to know what they want. And when you put your mind to something, you can achieve anything and you can do more together. And that's what I think we've all done here. And thank you for inviting me into 36 months. My final question is to you, and you may have already given it to me in the words of Ray Hadley, but what would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
I'm just a huge believer. I'm the forever optimist. Anything can be done.
Yeah,
But when you think it's impossible, or I don't have the set of skills, or I'm underqualified, remove that. Remove that straight away. And almost do it like sometimes I find if you remove the sense that it's all about you, you can do things quicker and with more reason. So a lot of the time, if I have I don't know if this is the right answer to the question, Rob, but I love to attach charities to things because the picture then becomes bigger. The meaning becomes bigger. It's no longer about whether I can do it. It's I have to do that for them.
Yeah, yeah.
It takes the selflessness out of it, I think, but it realizes your ability to then focus for something probably more important than you. I don't know. There might be something in that. If I haven't had the time to break that apart and put it back together in my own head, but I just see reason to, the more you continue to give and how you do it, can really drive you.
I do love that because I think we spend our whole life trying to work out, well, what's the secret to happiness and success? And I know what's been most fulfilling for me is when I'm adding value to other people.
Yeah.
And when you do that, and it's got nothing to do with dollars, right?
No.
The dollars come if you just do what it is that you really love and you add as much value as you can and like you just love that process of doing that. And then I think it just happens. So I do love that.
Rob, I had a meeting the other day with a publishing company, and they said, "Do you realize there's not a lot of money in this?" And I said, "Yeah, but have you thought about the adventure? Have you thought where this can take us?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
worth a lot more than the money."
Yeah, that's right. Life experience. Well, it's been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. This is a beautiful journey, isn't it?
Love it, Rob, and I love that you're with me on this. We're here together to live.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob. Great to see you.